past the previously on. And today there is a recap. So you want to start at the 48-second mark. So skip ahead past the recap to 48 seconds and then pause your episode right there. That's the best way to do this, because we're going to all press that play button at the same time. And if we're all at the 48-second mark, well then, guess what? We'll all be synced. I'm going to start my recorder unless anybody has any questions.
I don't have a question, but I do have something to say.
Yes? What's that?
When you were praising the app, you forgot to mention that it has all the answers of the universe as well.
It does have all the answers of the universe. That's absolutely true. If you go in there, I think it's the
it's right on the left.
Three.
If you scroll past 3 posts, it's right there.
Yeah. The 87th tab on the bottom. Click on that and you'll see, like, it just like your phone will just start to melt around, and suddenly you'll find yourself like floating in space, and all of the answers to the universe will just start to. It's a pretty incredible app. I really don't know how I was able to add that feature in so quickly.
Happy accidents.
It takes skill, John. It takes.
But it's there. It is there. There's something else, something I actually did want to talk about. I'll maybe talk about it later tonight, regarding sort of future watches, because what we're doing here with Gilmore Girls is it's not the only one that we're going to be doing. We're going to be moving into other television shows and other movies. We're actually already doing that. We have members who are scheduling events through that Remarcus app that include all kinds of content and movies, and we're going to be doing a lot more of that to come. And I have some really cool details to share on that. Some things that I've been sort of planning that I'm ready to reveal to the community. So I'll probably do that a little bit later. If you have the stamina to stay till the end, you'll hear a little bit of that. I'm ready to go. I just hit my Instagram live feed. I'm going into our Remarcus app to get that time code going, the timer going that I just mentioned. I'm moving it to the 48-second mark. There we go. Let me actually start this. I just realized that my timer for Instagram needs to be at the 48-second mark, and it's not there. So what do we want to talk about for the next 37 seconds?
Yeah. I don't know. I started saying something.
Now only 20 seconds, Charlie. You only have 20 seconds. Come on.
How about that?
What's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy. Ooh, that's a good one. I think gummy bears, probably.
How do you take your coffee?
How do I drink my coffee? Black, no sugar, no cream, nothing.
Wow.
Dark
the
and
coffee
strong.
wasn't gross enough. You don't even put anything like sweet in it.
Nothing.
Boring.
Nothing.
Nothing. Not a thing. It's like it's just super, just strong dark coffee.
Dark
like
soul.
And no sugar and no cream. I'm Cuban, so I grew up on café con leche, which is what introduced me to coffee as a kid. So I got the taste of coffee when I was very young and really liked it. But in my adulthood, I decided at some point that I really wanted to be a connoisseur of coffee in a way that like just eliminated everything else and just like brought coffee down to its bare essence, which was just the water and the infusion.
You know, I've heard that café con leche is really strong. Is it really strong, John? I've never had it before.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, it's very strong. It's very strong. It's really strong. It does have a lot of milk in it, and it has a lot of sugar in it. That's the thing, is that it's really more like a candy than it is really like, I mean, it's a very, very, very sweet beverage, but it's strong because it's not made with like typical coffee. It's made with espresso. So it's made with like that Cuban style espresso, the kind that you like actually cook on the stove in the little espresso, that little weird shaped espresso pot. And so it's just got the strength of an espresso. It's basically a strong latte with a lot of sugar in it.
I used to drink it like that. Now I don't like it.
You don't like café con leche?
I used to love it, but now
as a kid, you liked it, right?
yeah, of course. I'm from Puerto
All
Rico.
kids like it.
I grew up on coffee.
It's too sweet
But-
it's too sweet for me now. Like, I mean,
There you
again,
go.
for
That's
me,
the
coffee.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, for me, coffee is like to me, coffee just needs to be just
yeah,
pure, like hot water and infused coffee beans. That's it.
yeah.
And
That's the thing.
I like it. I like it strong. I like it on the stronger side and on the darker side. So
Now I drink it black, no sugar.
Yeah, beautiful. You and I we're birds of a feather, Tanya.
My favorite way to take coffee is without the coffee. Just the water.
Same, Lily.
All right.
Lily. You know what? Let's start this episode.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Valerie, I'm sure you were
I'm
losing
ready.
you with every second that goes. All right, so if you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. If this is your first time here, grab that remote, have your trigger thumb on the play button, but do not press it yet because we're going to press it at the same time on the count of 3. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. These are some lalas.
Those are some loving lala.
Those are some
Wedding
very
lala.
friendly
Wedding
lalas.
Lala.
This is my favorite Mrs. Kim episode.
And Aunt June, man. I mean, that actress really, they've definitely gotten a lot out of that actress. June is great.
Is a card.
The biggest thing I always noticed was how like the lack of red in that kimchi.
Oh my goodness, I just realized something that's gonna happen in this episode. So excited.
This episode is
Me too.
already starting very, very strong.
Hey Heather, I
You
think
can see the
your
dress
accidentally
bag is-
unmuted there.
Sorry,
The
everybody.
dress bag is so much more skinny.
Yeah, what happened to the muumuu? It's that thing, that dress bag is very small. Valerie.
Wait for it,
It's
John.
like looking at what did you say? Just wait for it. Yeah.
This is so great.
What is going on here? Am I right? Did I get this prediction?
I must have missed the prediction. What did you predict?
That she would transform it.
Oh, well, the dress, yes. It looks great, doesn't it? I love
It doesn't have the coffee abstract.
I love
angle
it
you
too.
thought it would.
it. Right.
She was wearing that in your Jip.
Wait, did she get a new one or did she transform it?
No,
She
she
transformed it.
transformed
It's
the
the same
original.
dress.
Yeah.
She cut a lot off.
Oh yeah. I'm feeling good.
I'm so glad that made you feel better.
I'm feeling real good.
John.
Proud. But I wish that they had shown that. I wish that they had shown a little bit of that or given us a better sense that was going to happen.
Wearing the clothes you tend to wear.
Don't pull any punches, Mrs. Kim.
And Kirk does Why not?
And Kirk does not count. For Kirk is
Wait,
Luke got it down.
remind
That's
me
like-
the last episode that Mrs. Kim and Kirk had interactions with one another.
I don't
I
think
can't
they did
think
they?
of what.
I think it was the episode where Lane wanted that new CD and Michelle had to make the drop off to her.
Yeah, was
And
that
put it
how
in
long
her-
ago it was?
Right.
Oh
I
my
think that was like
God.
season 3 or something.
Yeah, it
Really?
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just loving
Huh.
Kirk would be the go-to guy though to bring for a date. Don't you think that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
except
fun.
yeah, except now I don't really buy that she would know who Kirk was.
There is a
Everybody
scene-
knows Kirk.
Everybody knows who Kirk is.
I mean, Kirk is
Everybody's
probably
small
running through her
guess.
shop naked in a nightmare terror.
Yeah.
So, you know, sure enough.
in the CD drop episode, he says,
Oh
"I'm
my
Mrs.
goodness.
Kim, I'm
That-
Kirk."
I didn't realize that Sebastian Bach gets a special appearance by Sebastian Bach.
Hell yeah, he does.
Hey, Regina.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yo.
Well,
He's pretty special.
Well, hello there, Sebastian.
He is a famous rock star.
Ooh, single card, John.
Single card. Oh yeah.
Hey, Ree's in this episode.
I don't know about that skirt, Paris.
I was just thinking that it looks like a disco floor.
she looks
Or
like
no,
a
not a
third
disco
grade
floor, like
teacher from
a
1986.
it looks like a laser tag floor is what. I love these two.
Juliet was in the episode with Lorelai and Luke doing the school lecture thing. She was one of the girls asking about getting pregnant with Rory at 16.
I
There's an
actually
Amy
really
episode.
like having Rory as an editor. I'm not.
She's a solid editor.
She's like kills it.
Yeah, she's a really good editor.
Oh yeah.
I like Lorelai's hair and the dress.
This is a solid like outfit and hair.
Wrap dresses
episode
are
for-
her thing lately.
Oh yeah, this season for sure.
Yeah, I think that this season's probably my favorite now for the Lorelai looks.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Is it okay for women to still wear a wrap dress though, like 20 years later? Because like I'm finding that a lot of my fashion still looks like that, and I'm like,
I feel like wrap dresses are coming back in style, just because
I
they're
feel like
like
the whole
dresses are
2000s is
stylish.
just coming back in style.
Did wrap
True.
dresses go
Wrap
out of style?
dresses-
They seem
Yeah,
pretty
that's what I'm
universal.
saying.
Now.
I don't think they ever went out of.
Yeah, they seem
Hard to
like a
say.
timeless fashion.
They're timeless.
I
You
agree.
can
That's true.
look good on everybody.
Wrap dresses are
Look good on
basically
me.
Listen, I just saw. Do y'all see the razor that she has
Yeah,
flipped over
it's
her?
just-
Yeah, and she's got it clipped on her belt.
That is amazing.
Iconic. Dare I say?
I've never
Oh, I
noticed
had
her
one of
phone clipped to her belt ever, and I've seen
Not Tommy
show how many
Lee.
times.
it's like her tool belt.
It's probably
And
because she
is that
has
a
to use
razor?
it.
I love that.
It is.
Yes.
Anytime
wanted a
something's
razor
on them, it's
so
because they
bad
have
when
to
I was
use.
young. Damn.
Oh my
Rizzo
gosh.
killed
The jealousy.
no.
The jealousy of how badly I wanted a razor. Oh
Oh my
God.
gosh, but they just referenced the Sidekick. Do you remember those?
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
going
keep
away
watching.
anytime soon.
Those things were a sad moment in the history of.
Hey, the scene
Interesting.
Christopher said is inside the church.
Oh,
Nice.
really?
Yeah.
One kind
High
of
school
cool
show
detail,
likes himself some Daft Punk.
right. One kind of cool detail I've noticed throughout the series is Lorelai's phones are always pink, and I just think that's kind of cool.
Oh, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle.
Oh, he's a great dancer.
So
But
I-
in recent seasons,
I-
they have that. Which
I
is
have to imagine that Around the World was not that expensive to get the rights.
But it was a big hit at the time.
Yeah, I still feel like it's probably was on the less expensive side.
Do you remember in season 3 when Lane and Rory were doing the Korean wedding and Rory says, the next one might be yours. Here it
And
is.
here it
Hey.
is.
That's
Except
right.
it's not really a Korean wedding. Kazakh.
It's half.
There's a few different things.
But I remember that wedding to be actually pretty like simple. Like, wasn't it very like simple and modest? Whereas this wedding is elaborate.
Yes. Yes, that's it. Did you catch that?
Mrs. Kim with the floorboards.
hiding
Floorboard.
stuff on the floorboard.
It's amazing.
Like
Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Mrs. Kim has a Mrs. Kim.
Oh my goodness, are we gonna meet Mrs. Kim?
Yes.
Mrs.
We
Kim.
are indeed.
Patient.
Oh my goodness, this is so awesome. This is so awesome.
Look at her face.
Ta-da. She's giving Boone. She's giving
Oh my
run for her
goodness.
I feel like that woman is actually definitely Korean.
Oh, she killed.
Poor Mrs.
Look at
Kim.
Mrs. Kim.
the
Oh, man.
expression.
Oh my God. He's terrified. She's
Now
terrified.
you know where Miss Kim gets it from.
You know, it's kind of funny. I didn't purposely do this, but I had Korean food. Well, sort of.
Not very Buddhist of her. Not very Zen.
My bad knees and back could never.
Same.
Yeah, no, I'm hurting just looking at it.
Oh my gosh, that was just awesome. Oh my gosh, bachelorette party.
Check.
Who are the random tag along friends? Who are they?
Oh, Lane's other close friends, you know.
They probably went to Stars Hollow High, so we didn't meet.
Oh,
They could
Could
have
be
been
from
in
the
the
chair
band.
squad.
They could have been in the band, or they could have been
Your
fellow
girlfriend.
cheerleaders.
Wait a sec.
hey.
Avril.
Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, yes.
Skater
She was my
boy.
first album I ever bought.
Tell her.
Kid dance.
Agreed, Kian. Agreed.
Everyone needs music they can dance to.
Oh, yeah.
I was just reading a translation of that whole scene, and basically the grandma was just being like petty to Miss Kim. She's like, "It's stuffy in here. Open a window. Let's go about 108 times," and totally in the shoes.
Interesting. No.
American
Oh,
Gigolos.
Lorelai.
Oh, geez.
That was so cool.
Probably had one
So-
sip of beer.
So there's a
that
lot of water on the streets. Do you remember if it was raining? Val?
Hailstorm? Is that what you said?
I remember I told you there was a hailstorm, so we had some weather that week.
Okay.
But it's also possible that the weather, it was not wet that night and they had to match it to other nights. If you look at the sidewalk, it doesn't look bad. Where they could see-
Ooh, the
Oh my
boys.
God, I totally
gonna
forgot
go.
about this.
That jacket, John.
That jacket, yeah, I was about to say, dang, you look stylish. Fine, look stylish.
This line stripes are really high up waist.
That is hiked, that jacket.
It is very stylish.
How tall are you, Brian or John? How
Six
tall,
foot.
Brian?
Jelly.
You're the same height. So I think that's probably for a 5'5" guy.
Yeah.
The big question is, who are those random guys behind us?
They're from the other band.
Maybe they're groupies.
Lane, they needed to make Lane and Zach seem like they had friends other than Rory. And
Yeah, they're from Zach's book club, you know.
Zach probably hit up Joel, and Joel probably.
Crew. Well, Joel is not there.
And I really, truly do not even remember that scene at all. Don't remember anything about being in that scene. Like,
Did you black
gone.
out?
Blacked it out 100%.
I love
The
this.
contingency plan is even yours, John.
This is so good.
Oh my gosh, this is
This
so
part
awesome.
bugged me so much though. Like they threw a better impromptu bachelorette party. for
Brian?
Emma.
Oh my goodness,
How?
that's awesome.
Sounds like Brian's
I love
rich.
that they joined parties.
Bachelorette's in the house.
Another great dress.
It is really pretty.
Almost a wrap dress, but not.
Just the brown and the yellow really look great.
Yeah, I love the colors of others.
Do you think the backup tambourine players are going to show up at the wedding?
The backup tambourine player or players? You mean Joel?
No, the
I
players.
wish Joel came, but
Mm-mm. Joel is done. Good riddance.
Joel can
Never in the front.
have such great rhythm.
Joel was hilarious.
This
Yeah,
season's wrap
fine.
dresses. The season before was all those baby doll dress, lingerie looking dress.
Her style followed the times.
There's also a whole lot less cleavage this season.
That's how those baby doll dresses were, kind of showy.
Is he
I
drunk?
agree with that. 3 is always the right answer.
I have 3, yeah.
3 or even 4 sometimes.
Oh, it depends on how big they are.
That's true.
That's what she said.
Dirty.
Was
She
he?
made-
I remember learning how to make those first like
Just asking
Oh
the
smiley faces, the little sideways smiley faces where you had to just do like the colon and the.
Okay, so remember, do you remember when I was saying like that I have memories of Christopher on set, and that's why I had this feeling that he was going to become a big part of season 6 and the conflict with Luke. I'm remembering this episode. I'm remembering because it was such a big elaborate episode, and we were there so much, and we were often just like sitting waiting for the scenes to shoot and whatnot. And I remember he was always sitting there with us hanging out. So I think it was this episode specifically that I remembered.
So this scene, during the course of this scene, which I think we might have shot over 2 days, the first day we shot it was maybe the end part, but at the nighttime part of this scene, when it was actually nighttime for us shooting, it was raining hard and then it hailed.
Rory's dress in this episode is probably my favorite dress of hers, like in the whole scene. The dress with the jacket. Great color.
I like these dresses.
So this part right
Rory's
now,
jacket has always been so weird to me because it looks like it's been like drawn on with.
Oh yeah, look at Zach.
I like vaguely remember
Look at
this.
Zach. Love that.
Did they puff him up?
Mhm.
Does he got? Did they make him look like a sumo wrestler?
Lane looks
Oh my
amazing.
gosh,
No, he
I
didn't
was-
have padding.
I was the
That was
best
just the
man.
outfit.
I was the best man.
You were, John. You were.
Brian, his best man.
So
Yup.
is this guy a new girl?
Yeah, it's
Of course you were the best man.
I've never realized
Brian
that
was Zach's
before.
best friend.
I can't believe I just did not even remember that this character existed. The grandmother.
You may not have known who she was.
Maybe,
Or
but
you would've-
also
he would've read
I
this
may not have
episode.
been in the scene where like the way this is shot, you're not always in the same room with these people.
Oh, John, you were in the same room with her. Yeah,
For sure, I was.
Because we would have shot this master. All these people were in that room, all of them, and
Right,
this was broken up.
Right,
over-
but not necessarily things like the argument that's happening over there. So
You
I
would
may
have
not
read
had
your
any
script.
context.
You would have read the whole script. You probably were part of a read through.
Oh no! I did not read the script.
You didn't do read throughs? Okay.
And
you didn't go to the
we weren't
read-throughs?
we weren't always invited to the read-throughs. I mean, this episode we might have been invited to, but I didn't go. I'd say I went to maybe about 50-60% of the read-throughs, but
Okay, so this was shot the next day, and then we literally went from this scene to getting her dressed. I think. For the other scene.
this I do
Look
remember.
at her run.
This I do remember.
Did you have to run?
But I wasn't in this. I just watched this happening from afar. I watched this happening from somewhere off, watching them all do this because
Why
I'm
don't
not
they
in
get out
this.
of their way? They're just standing there. Oh boy!
58 seats and 62 Koreans.
Look at Gil and his wife running back. It's so fun.
Oh, so cool.
Gil is an
I'm
icon.
noticing Gil in the background. Oh
I don't think I
never
noticed him
noticed
last time.
So
Gil has the greatest run. Oh my goodness. With the hair
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. This is such a good scene. Such a
Who are some of these people?
Well, the front row is the bridesmaids. The people that were in that
Yeah.
thing. Not bridesmaids, but their best friends.
different.
They're very giggly and smiley.
I have not seen any of these people
Probably.
ever. Oh, there's Kirk in the very back in the right. He was behind.
Lane looks amazing.
She looks so pretty.
Do you just see how Lane's
does.
veil? Do you see how Lane's veil is pinned back? There's a tack in the veil to pull it off of her face, and that was specifically something I had to do because they didn't want it.
That's
to hit
kind
us
of G.
head that way.
Oh,
Look
that's
at it right there.
interesting.
See the little tack?
Yeah. So
That's kind of G.
Good job, Valerie.
She looks beautiful though.
Oh my.
She sure does.
Time for the talk.
This is the best.
Oh boy, this is the best.
This is what I was waiting.
uh-oh.
So good.
How dare you? Stand up.
Just one. Just once, no more.
For whatever reason, this I do remember. I do remember like being the best man here in this moment.
Mrs. Kim was like traumatized on Mr. Kim or something.
Yeah, I get. Lorelai's so proud.
That dress suits Lane so well. It's such a Lane dress.
Brian, why are you smiling like that?
Why do you think I'm smiling like that?
Keep watching. All the rumors are true.
His besties are getting hitched.
Feeling good about my friends, you know, their love for each other.
He's smiling because he did a scan of the room
Zach's
and Mia
little
isn't there.
smile when she walked in was so cute.
Oh, so cute.
Or maybe you saw Keon.
Scary.
Still in the back standing.
Ooh.
Brian's so excited.
I know.
I thought the guy that came out of the church was Brian for a second.
Yeah.
Oh,
So cute. The
Oh.
best friend hug. It's so cute.
And Gil's just like, my way.
What's with Kurt's sleeping
looks
bag
great,
and
too.
cooler?
That was Miss Patty's. He was carrying it out for
Oh, how did I miss that?
because she stayed the night. Because 58 seats
Okay,
and 62
yeah.
Miss Patty was prepared.
and rightfully so.
Well,
Look
hello.
at her.
Oh, caught
Checked
Brian's
her out.
eye.
Ooh,
Check out that
and
look.
Continue to look.
Well, well.
That was a
Well,
long
well.
look, Brian.
It's a leer.
That was very like, ooh.
I bet it's hand wash only.
So good. The
What are they
quickness
doing?
of the setup. It's
The
just
takeaway boxes.
they're taking to-go boxes and leaving check.
Man, it looks like it's hot there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hot day because it had weather that month.
Oh, that's good.
Which is weird because she came in from Korea the first time ever and she was there for 5 minutes.
Oh, geez.
That's sweet.
Oh, I thought she was going somewhere different with that.
30 years, John.
Yay, Nina's son.
Who likes to wear a dress.
Oh, they're so cute.
Cheers. Don't let him take
Yep,
pieces
Bart.
in that thing.
This is awesome.
This is one of my favorite parts of this episode. Just
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
those
my wife's
boots
got
too.
legs. I love that line.
Their
Oh,
this
this
picture
picture.
on
Love
My
that.
favorite. This episode made
Now,
me like,
all of this, I have very strong memories from all of this.
Look at
That night was freezing.
Look at Brian and Keon. It's so cute.
Great dancing.
what is that called?
I don't really
The
remember
chicken?
the weather, but I do remember I just remember this shooting all of this.
I kept passing out hot water bottles to everyone because it's so freaking cold.
Also, because Sean was here on set, so that was also just, I remember it because I remember my friend was there, and between takes we could just hang out.
You didn't have very many scenes with him, did you?
Yeah, I mean hardly any. So in the whole series, so this was just one that I remember for that reason. That like in between takes, like Sean and I would just be hanging out chatting.
No, buddy.
The bartenders are yummy.
Plenty of
There.
I think it's plenty basic to be honest, but you know,
That's a different cell phone.
It's not hers, it's his.
Okay. I was like, that is a different.
I'm glad she got her dress or her jacket back from Doyle. I thought he was really going to keep it.
No, I think that it wasn't that a different jacket?
No, it was that one. The little rhinestone buttons.
That Doyle had on? Yes, it was that. I love the shorter veil and the hair down and curly.
Did the dress have the pink on it the whole time?
No, it was button closed before, and now it's open. It was like the gold.
Okay, I was like,
Oh,
why is
pink
there so many
lining.
pink?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
But how did she not know with April? She's seen April before.
Yeah, but she hasn't hung out with her.
Yeah, and those little cameras, little viewer, were very, very tiny, so it'd probably been hard to see like exactly who she.
Of course, she's not fine.
Not even close.
Yeah, here we go.
Yay!
Oh yeah.
Yay, Hyperion.
I love this moment so much.
I
Me
can't
too.
remember what we played. I'm trying to remember. Was it a monkey song?
Yes,
Michelle,
it
sing it.
was.
Yes.
It's a monkey song, right?
Yep.
Which
I
one is
love-
it? Which one is it?
Shrek.
Is it Hey Hey We're the Monkeys? No.
No. Is it When I Saw Her Face?
Oh, When I Saw Her Face.
From Shrek.
Yes.
That's just my
Of
memory.
course.
I'm a believer.
It's I'm a Believer. That's right. I'm a Believer.
I
do
can
remember this. We spent a lot of time rehearsing this.
I kind of wish Gil would have kept the or Sebastian would have kept the ponytail in, but he.
But you got to listen to my little doo 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 doo.
The head bob.
Wait, here it comes.
The head bob.
That ooh was some harmony
Love
right
that.
there.
It wasn't
That
That was some harmony.
was harmony
You worked
for the
hard
win.
on
Let's go.
Awesome.
There's Rini.
I love this. Kirk is too much. Kirk and the yummy bartender's feeling jealous.
Yummy bartender.
Oh,
Whoa! Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. Whoa.
Y'all see
hello.
Brian?
Ryan.
And there's the granny with the green outfit on that I've never seen. Again, what is she doing here? What?
He spent like 20 minutes.
Rory couldn't care less whether he approves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
She's
Literally.
at the door.
No.
She's like, okay, approve, not approve. I really don't care.
You could say you hate him,
Yeah,
and
Brian.
I would still walk
Making the
away. and not-
toast. Let's go.
Woohoo!
Best man speak.
Woohoo.
Hey, is that some drunk acting?
I would think
Oh,
so.
Drunk on love.
I think
Was
it
that
is.
a little bit of drunk acting? Did I just collect a
Little
drunk acting
bit,
performance
yeah.
from
I
myself?
think you did.
Yeah.
But
But I think he's also a
Yeah.
little bit drunk on love.
I think
too.
he might get lucky tonight.
Plain and sad.
Wonderful.
Otherwise,
best man
Hepalion is screwed.
You're gonna get a lot of those collections tonight.
I'm very worried about what's going to happen between Lorelai and Christopher at this wedding.
You're gonna get some good collections.
Mm,
I'm gonna be collecting some serious drunk performances.
oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's a happening.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Susie.
Keep in mind, she just had at least 5 shots, if not.
In quick succession, too.
One right after the other.
Who does that?
I did right after I broke up with my fiance.
Oof.
15 shots of tequila lined across the bar, and I was perfectly.
Damn. How long did you stay fine?
Oh, for a while. If you would have given me one glass of wine, it would have went right to my head. But the hard stuff, I'm okay.
This is definitely a prize of my collection.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Of the whole
definitely.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
Yep, it breaks my heart.
it literally shatters my heart. I feel so bad.
Oh.
Oh, so bad.
Uh-oh. Oh my god.
I want to just hold her.
Same.
Me
This is when
too.
you get up, Christopher.
Oh, 8
This-
shots. She says 8 shots.
8 shots. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
This is great though. I love how they come and grab.
It's so interesting because I remember this being shot, but I was not really close by. I was off a little way and just saw it. I didn't really know what she was talking about up there. I just remember her up there on the platform, and I remember them going up and all of that. And that's really weird.
Oh dear.
Oh, uh-oh. What?
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
It seems from your reaction you weren't expecting that, John.
No. Yeah,
Rory, go get that. Mrs.
that
May go
tells
home.
me that 100% I definitely did not go to a table read or read this episode because I had no idea.
I like that link.
Me too. It's cute.
I like
Oh.
how he just like stayed in the chair. It's kind of sweet.
He's in Luke in her bedroom though. He needs to get out of there.
I know, but
Wait,
he
why?
stayed because he told
Why?
Rory
He's just sitting in a
that
chair. He's just sitting on the chair.
I don't know.
I don't care. He's not welcome. But
He's not well.
yeah, but he told Rory that he'd take care.
Yeah,
of
he's
her.
not welcome.
get that bed. Get Miss Pat. Get anybody. I don't like this.
He could watch her from
So
downstairs.
wait, so
Lily,
so
you're a
what?
little harsh
Wait,
there.
wait. So who was that at the very end there? Was that Luke?
Luke,
yeah,
yeah.
that was Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
So
was just basically
technically-
like groggily telling him that like the wedding was really great or
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. Oh, that's a really
Because he was calling to check on her because they were still in like Pennsylvania or wherever.
damn, that was a good episode.
Yeah.
I think that
Yes,
I think that actually might be my favorite band episode so far. I think so. I might have to be
It's a good-
refreshed during our fireside chat that we're going to be doing those fireside chats next Monday and Tuesday with Mary, and I'll have to be refreshed to make sure. But I'm pretty sure that that's my favorite as a viewer, like watching it as a viewer. I think that's my favorite one that we've had so far. That was so great. Okay, I'm going to open up the couch, bring some folks up here, and we are open for business. Come on
So if there's
up,
any
folks.
questions or things that you can think of that you'd like to
I
ask.
actually did have a question for you, Valerie, about the veil, because it seems you guys had like a comb. Was it like a comb one, or like
You're talking about the
Lane's veil? Like how
How it attached to her head? Yeah, usually there's combs in the veil.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because I know, because her hair type, was that like any issue for you guys?
What I was
putting that in?
talking about was the veil itself. I don't attach veils. That would be hair. Hair puts them in and places them because it's a crossover. But what I did do was pull back those two pieces of fabric that were about to hit her face, pulled them back, and I tacked them in back so that you couldn't, you can kind of see the little pinch. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I have a question.
It was pinched back.
A lot of times when Lane is dressed for the band, like, and even in her wedding dress, there's always a touch of pink. Was that on purpose? Like, was that planned that she would always have some pink?
Definitely. I don't know if the pink necessarily. It's more about. I don't know if Brenda necessarily picked pink for her as a color, but maybe. I know that the inside part of her lining, she was very specific. Brenda really wanted that little bit of pink on the inside. And she also had little bits of jewels on the shoes, on her boots, which you can't see. I mean, you couldn't really see them. But she put a bunch of little like glitz and bedazzled them or something.
Could it be because she was because she was the only girl in the band? Could that be why?
I don't know. If you've noticed that it's pink, then it definitely would be something that Brenda would have picked as just a kind of a fun accent. She definitely would do stuff like that.
And then the clothes for Zach, like the traditional dress, was that like, were the colors specific, or did we go for like something cultural? Like, how did those?
It's definitely cultural. I think if you were to look at the humbuck, which is what that is, you will see very, very much that they kind of fall in line with colors. They might have had some other choices, but I think they probably just picked the ones that looked the best if there was a choice. But it's called a humbuck, H-O-M-B-U-C-K, I believe. I could be wrong on the spelling of that. And we used them again. We used them previously when we did that other wedding, and it was a totally different outfit as well. So I mean, the bride can be slightly different, I believe, but it seems like the guys were about the same. I don't know.
Interesting. I have to go back and look at that other wedding and see if I can compare.
I mean, there might be, if you just Google humbuck, I bet you would find a bunch of different styles, and they just picked the one that looked the best on the actors that they were going to use. But the night we shot the inside part of the wedding for the Korean wedding, it had hailed. And it was fine earlier in the day. And then we went to lunch. It was an all-nighter. We went to lunch. I think that day there was like a 22-hour day in there involved in that day. And we went to lunch, and right at lunch, it started to hail as we got the actors dressed. And on set, we dressed them across the street, which was in the white house that's across the street from Mrs. Kim's house. And we were going to get them dressed, and they were going to just walk across the street, and then we were going to shoot the scene, which is what we did earlier in the day. But after lunch, we got them undressed, and then we had to get them redressed. And by the time we got Keiko redressed, it was full on hailing. I had to get her undressed. I had to put her costume in a bag, walk it across the street. She had to be walked across the street with like a bag over her head so she wouldn't destroy any of her makeup or hair. And then we went up the stairs in Mrs. Kim's. There's like this weird little room that sometimes the Video Village would be in if they had to see throughout the entire set. And so we got her dressed up there, and they went down and we shot the scene. And I remember vaguely that Sasha was out of town, and Susie was on set with me that day. Susie was our other costumer. And I just remember it was really like a lot of work. There was so much work with all those clothes, getting everybody dressed. And John, I know you don't think that you were in the scene when the other mom was in. Everyone was there. Nobody was not there.
That's not what I was saying. That's actually not what I was saying, Valerie. I was saying that the way that the scene is shot, you aren't necessarily always in the scene in a way that you can understand exactly what's going on. So like, for example, at the wedding, at the wedding, in the wedding, for example, there's those scenes where Christopher and Lorelai are speaking. The camera is facing them. That means that all of us are not there anymore, right? Like, because we're over near the altar, right? That's now where all of the cameras are as they're shooting Lorelai and Christopher sitting in a pew speaking. So at that point, I'm not needed. So I might not even be anywhere near that church. I might be out somewhere, you know, sitting outside somewhere, dealing with like whatever's going on, because that area where we were standing, standing on the altar, that area is now full of lights and cameras and whatnot.
But
so
you would have been there
so the same
for
thing,
the master, though.
Yeah, so the same thing applies for the scene with inside Mrs. Kim's house with all of that. I'd be there for the master, but I mean that was an extremely cramped space. So the master that you're talking about, it's not really like a big wide thing that, you know, everybody is necessarily in the exact same shot. And the master is also sometimes very short, and sometimes the master doesn't really give you a ton of context as to what's going on. So like, for example,
I'm having a vague memory of us shooting the close-ups before we actually shot the master of that scene.
When Lane came down the stairs and that grandmother was there, I had just no recollection of that character. I was like, oh my gosh, this is super surprising. Then when we got into the scene where I was there, you know, with the like smaller wedding, then I was kind of like, oh, I sort of remember this, you know, but I don't really remember much. When they walked out of the room, I was like, I don't remember that at all. And maybe I just have terrible memory, but I also believe that because of the way things are often shot, sometimes you're just not there. Like another example would be like Lorelai up on the podium giving her drunken speech at the end. I do remember that, but I don't remember it from the perspective that you would expect me to remember it, because in the viewer's mind, I'm sitting down there with everybody at the tables. But in reality, John Cabrera was actually like a ways away, like over to the side, watching from a distance Lorelai walking or Lauren walking up onto that podium and seeing them go there. And I didn't really totally know exactly what was going on, except that like the character's drunk and there's some sort of commotion that they have to kind of pull her off the stage. So now putting it all together, watching it from the perspective of an audience, I can put all of these like little bits and pieces of things that I remember together with things that I remember from different perspectives, or things that I don't remember at all because I truly wasn't there. Like, you know, an example being anything in the church that was, you know, in the big church that was being shot towards the doors. I was probably not even inside the church. I probably walked outside because, you know, the cameras are now all set up in the spot where I was supposed to actually be in the scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just thought I meant like you would have seen some of the scene when they shot like when they did the rehearsal, you guys would have been part of the rehearsal where the camera wasn't in place and you would have maybe experienced being there. But you're talking about that perspective of what your character is going through, I guess.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I know this sounds really horrible to say, but like, I wasn't always paying attention, you know, like, I mean, honestly, like if I didn't need to be there, if for whatever reason, like I didn't need to be there, I was probably just sitting outside somewhere talking to somebody, you know.
In all fairness, they didn't want you in there.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't want anyone that didn't need to be in there.
Exactly. If there were cameras in a spot shooting something that would technically be where my character's standing, I wasn't there. Like I would be outside, or, you know, for the reason Valerie makes, right, which is that they didn't want me there. But also, like, you know, film sets can be boring at times, you know, and it's like it's a lot of standing around and people like putting lights on you and all that kind of stuff. So unless I really truly needed to be there for the scene, I probably wasn't. You know, I was probably just hanging out, chatting with somebody.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this before, but season 6 in particular, I remember not being at that many table reads. And the reason for it was season 6 was a really big season. And there were a lot of episodes where they were rewriting and getting, and like, you know, things weren't completed. Like I remember there were like scripts that would like be delivered on like, I would get the script at like midnight, like Danny Giles or somebody would come to my my apartment at like midnight the day before I was shooting to drop off a script. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess here's my script for tomorrow. Like, haven't read through it. And, you know, of course, I wasn't going to read through it. Certainly not that night, certainly not at midnight. But there were just sometimes where it just wasn't there, or sometimes where I just couldn't make the read through. Like, you know, sometimes they would invite me, but I had, you know, some other conflict that I couldn't make, because they don't hire me for the read through. The read through is sort of like a courtesy thing that they ask you to come to.
Did you know, speaking of read throughs, did you know that Mara Casey, you know, who our casting agent, would, during the read through, if someone wasn't there, like let's say Sally wasn't there, she would read Sally.
Yes.
In the read throughs.
Yes, I do remember. I do know that Mara Casey is a really good actress. And she would very often read roles of people who couldn't make it to the read through, and there were always people who couldn't make it to the read through.
Yeah, always. Is there any other questions you guys have for me for costumes and what, like the things that went on during the shoot that day? I remember one thing about Lane's dress, which was when we did the switch over to the short dress, that the neckline at night, we opened up the neckline to make that pink. And, you know, there were just like casual things that Brenda was like really excited about doing. Now, remember the whole thing with the last episode and the dress and the coffee spill. And, you know, you were all like, cheap. When you were saying something yesterday about Lorelai spilling the coffee on the dress, oh, I can't believe she did that. She did it because she wanted to save Lane. Because that dress was hideous. Like, that dress was not going to fit anyone. And it also needed to be altered.
Yeah, no,
so
I thought
didn't need that fabric.
No, I thought, and this was my interpretation from the end of the scene, I thought that she was spilling the coffee on the dress to basically be like, oh, can't wear this dress anymore. You're going to need to get her a different dress. What I didn't realize, which is what I was actually hoping was going to happen, but then that moment sort of threw me off. It made me think that wasn't going to happen. What I wanted to see was exactly what happened, which was for Lorelai to transform, to alter that dress into something much different and really, really cool. But that coffee spill thing did not, just from the narrative, it just didn't tell me that. I needed to wait to the next episode to discover that. And I guess there was payoff to a degree. That I mean, I was glad that I was right about that particular thing, but I think I would have liked it in the scene last night. I think I just would have liked for us to leave that scene with like a, oh my gosh, Lorelai, you are a badass. And I understand that moment was about Lorelai's frustration and anger with everything that's going on here, but I guess I would have really liked to see that kind of turn into something positive. But then it probably would have clashed a bit with what happened tonight on the stage with her being drunk. So maybe it was the right thing for her to be doing.
And the reveal for Lane would not have been as dramatic in this episode.
Yeah,
if
you're
we
right.
had already...
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. I mean, all in all, it's just a nitpick, right? Like, all in all, it was still super cool, super awesome. And, you know, I said I didn't have any recollection of the weather. That's wrong. I do. I don't remember what the weather felt like, but I remember the heaters. We had heaters all around that whole area. And so if there were these space heaters there on set, it meant that it was really cold that night. And everybody was wearing those big everyone was wearing those big puffy Gilmore Girls blue puffy jackets.
Valerie,
Well,
Sorry, I had a question about the dress. You probably already said it earlier because I came on late, but when Brenda made that big, huge dress, I mean, for that last scene, did she use the same dress and actually literally alter it for?
No, because
second
we
scene,
would
or
have
was it
needed
held-
it. We would have needed it for continuity. I mean, if she did it, it was just because. If she did it, it was because she needed the fabric or we couldn't get fabric. But I'm pretty sure that she bought new fabric and we kept that as something, because if they needed to go back to that scene, we wouldn't have that fabric to be able to go back to that scene to be able to shoot that. And that was property department paid for that dress to be made because it was a prop as opposed to something that she was actually ever going to wear. But they went to the store and instead of getting 5 yards of fabric, they would get 25 yards of fabric. So they had enough to be able to do. Not only did we have a long version of the dress, we had a breakaway version of the dress. And we had the first version, which was the prop. We had the long version of the dress. We had the breakaway version of the dress. So there were actually 3 different dresses that we used.
Oh, so
one she didn't wear.
Lane wasn't wearing the breakaway the whole time. It was like she changed.
No, she only wore the breakaway when we were about to shoot the breakaway.
You know, it's funny you say that, Valerie, because when she was walking into the church, like where the sun was shining through, you could see the shorter version under the longer skirt. So that's funny. I didn't
Just
think
depends on when we were shooting it, what part we were shooting. If we needed her to get dressed in it, we would. But because the breakaway part, technically, like everything's going to pull away from it, it is something that we needed to do. Cool. So there you go. Any other questions you guys have about anything in that episode? I feel like we've gone over it, but I don't know if there's something burning.
I'm just going to share that this episode actually inspired my wedding dresses. I bought 2 dresses, and I bought a long one for the church and a short one for the event, and it was inspired by this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because I was like, that makes so much sense. You want a short dress to dance in. So I totally did that.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting. She had so many gowns. Like she also had the humbuck too, which was really cumbersome. And but that episode was a lot of fun, although it was a lot of effort that we had to go through to make it. Like there was so much going on. There were so many characters. We ended up shooting one of the nights. I remember it being a 22-hour day, and I think it was because of the hailstorm. And I remember Patricia Fast Palmer, who was one of our producers, she was so, Sasha and I, we had to set, or Sasha or whoever was with me, had to set all those characters. We had to be there. We knew the continuity. Nobody else knew the continuity. We also, you don't hand over Lauren Graham to someone else. Like you don't say, oh, here, we can't be here. Here's another costumer to help deal with the actor for a couple hours. No, you deal with the actors. And so they wanted to come in the next day without us having our 10-hour turnaround or 9-hour turnaround. They wanted it to be less. And it was just such a work. I had to wrap, or one of us had to wrap all those actors at the end of the night by ourselves, while the other one came in early to set all the actors by themselves. It was just a lot of work. And she was just like, well, if you get forced, you can only stay until you're like forced or whatever. So it was just a weird thing. Like you have to go home right away in the day. And I was like, well, that's not really fair to the person that's working to have to take on that stress. It was just a lot of money stress. And it was like being put on our department because they needed to get things done in a timely manner.
Meanwhile,
that makes any sense.
Meanwhile, over in Actorland, we're all like, are we going to go? We're all like, are we going to go into golden hour? Are we going to go into golden hour? Like we were all like looking at our watches.
Oh, you were already going into golden hour.
Oh, golden hour. Golden hour. I think I mentioned this before. Golden hour is when overtime turns into double time. Like it's like there's overtime. So there's overtime and there's golden time. And overtime is anything after. It's anything after 10 hours, I think. And then and so I think it's for 2 hours, or it might be everything after 8 hours, but I seem to remember it was everything after 10 hours, but it's only 2 hours, because then at midnight, or sorry, not at midnight, but at the 12-hour mark, it becomes golden time, and golden time is your wages times 2. And so for an episode like this, which was absolutely epic, and was huge, and they had to, like, you know, they had to have us there, and they had all of that had to be shot, you know, and it was all at night as well. So, you know, we were there early in the day, and now we're there, like, you know, into the night. There's no question that the actors were all like looking at their watches, like are we going?
Confused me because I'm a photographer, and I was like, why wouldn't you shoot during golden hour? Because
Oh no, yeah, not golden hour.
An hour before sunset, but it's pretty.
Sorry, I misspoke. Yes, I know what golden hour is. Golden hour, no, golden time. Golden time and overtime. They're just two expressions that mean like the actors are very happy. But it, you know, that, and this contrast, and as we were getting to the end of season 6, this kind of like was sort of crescendoing, which is like these like exhaustive days, lots of stress and pressure being put on departments, right? And then everyone comes back to season 7, and it's a very different situation. Like everybody's like going home exactly at the 8-hour mark. No, but you know, people, like, everything is running like clockwork. There was definitely a sense of season 6 kind of being the peak of how hard it was to shoot the show at times. And season 7 was like suddenly very chill.
So even though it was stressful and you had these crazy long days, golden time, etc., was it fun? Were you guys having fun?
I mean, I had fun. I remember this episode. I remember the main thing from this episode was, or one of the main things for me was that it happened to be an episode where Sean Gunn and I were in the same scene. So we were there together. And it was very long and complicated, and there were all kinds of different shots. So we were not very often not working. So I remember it to be an episode where I got to spend a lot of time hanging out with my friend. You know, awesome. who I didn't often, you know, I knew who was working on the same show as I was, but we never ever saw each other on the show. We only ever saw each other outside of the show. I remember that. You know, I remember all kinds of little details, but like I said, I remember them from different perspectives. Like I wasn't in the running scene to the church. Like Brian's not in that shot. And so because of it, I wasn't there. I got to watch everybody running, you know, I got to see people and not really totally knowing exactly what was going on. I mean, I could guess, you know, what was sort of going on, but I didn't really understand until this episode that it was about the grandmother, that it was like that they were switching. I just saw running happening. And I think I also, if I remember correctly, also kind of feeling like, again, and this is just an actor thing, kind of thinking like, why is Sebastian running and I'm not? Like, why am I not in that scene? But Sebastian had a line. There was like something that him and his wife like say as he's running by.
I assume you're not in that scene because you're the best man, so you would be in the church with Zach. And you wouldn't need to run and find a seat because you're not going to be sitting in any of the 58 seats.
Oh, right. Okay, there you go. That's exactly why. That's exactly why I wasn't.
I want to mention something also that we sort of earlier in the episode, this is just something, a costume related thing. And I sort of mentioned it as when Lauren's wearing that dress and she has the phone flipped into her you know, into the tie of her dress. Whenever you see something like that, it's basically like she's going to use that phone. You know, anytime you see something that looks so oddly placed,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
100% she's going to grab the phone. You know, you're going to grab the phone. I didn't work on this thing, but my friend was a production designer on I forget that Al Pacino movie where he played the devil, whatever that was. He was a production thing on that, and he really wanted to use my piano. He was like, "Can we use your piano for this? That would be really cool if we could use your piano." And I was like, "Maybe, okay." And then he got back to me. He was like, "We don't need to use your piano. The director nixed it." And he goes, the reason he nixed it was because the director said, anytime you have a piano in a scene, the piano should be played. And they weren't going to be playing the piano. And so like, it always struck me as like, when you're directing, you put things in the scene or in the thing, you put them in the places that they need to be, but sometimes they seem like they're out of place, when in reality, the only reason they're out of place to your eye is because they're going to be used momentarily.
I have to be honest.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have to be honest. Like, I mean, that's totally true. I saw that phone hanging on her dress, and the only thing I thought was, when is she going to pick up the phone? Like that was absolutely there. But I don't know if I'd say all directors do that. And I actually like think that it's cooler if you have a piano in a scene and you don't play it.
Definitely not all directors do it, but they're the ones that are like this. I think it was Taylor Hackford that directed this movie. So like, he's a very prominent director, and that's just his style. If something's going to be in it, you're going to see it being like, there's not things in there for no reason. But yeah, it's interesting for me. Our job, Sesha, my job would be to go onto set and go like, hey, we know you're going to leave the door and you're going to have to grab your coat to get out the door. And so we have a conversation with the director of like, where should the coat be? Do you want it in the coat rack? Do you want it on this thing? And we also have to backtrack and go like, okay, 4 scenes before you're going to enter the room, you're going to take your coat off. We're not shooting that today, but where are you going to put it? Where? And so we would work it out with the director way ahead when we started the episode, like, hey, she's going to have to grab her coat here. And this is the scene we're shooting, and it's 5 scenes later. Where's the coat going to be? Because the coat needs to be there the whole time. It can't just magically appear 2 seconds before she's going to grab it. And also it needs to get placed there at the right time when it's being taken off. And we might not shoot that for 3 weeks later. So those are the subtle things that costume department does, is work with props and other departments and the director to make sure that things are in the scene at the right time, or that they unbutton something at the right time. And, or if there's a problem with something, that if we need to fix it, that we find a moment in the script where it can be fixed and put the way that it should be for whatever thing that it matches up to later.
Valerie, I have a question. Do you, you were saying like you and this other woman, are you the only 2 people handling all of the actors, all of their costumes?
Pretty much. I mean, Sesha and I were the set costumers, and I had a little bit different responsibility because I broke down the scripts and I was pretty much in charge of like making sure all the continuity got put in the books. I took care of all the actors. Sesha took care of Lauren. And then one year Sesha started taking care of Melissa and Scott, because they started to get a little bigger and they wanted a little bit more attention. And I had so many people on my plate that I was starting to have little tiny continuity things. And I was like, I need help. And so she started pulling other people away. We, at any point in time, we could have overlapped and I could have helped her. Like if she had to go to the bathroom and I needed, she needed me to watch something, I'd be on set and I would take care of Lauren in that moment. But we all had our different things that we would do. But the first season, I took care of Lauren and Alexis. And then the second season, they realized, and there was another costumer that took care of everybody else. And then that costumer left. And then I went to taking care of everybody except for Lauren. And that's when Sesha came on. And, Lauren just needed it. She needed to have someone that helped her. She had so many clothes. We would put in racks of clothes into her room just to get one outfit. And then it would just be like a bomb went off because she didn't have the time to hang up the stuff between. And we weren't in the room with her. She would just come out going, oh, this is what I want to wear. And so a lot of the times when they would design the other characters, Lauren, like at a certain point in time, like the other actors just had to be in something. We couldn't wait, pull the trigger on whatever Lauren was going to pick. So sometimes you'll have, you want to avoid certain colors. So if like your lead actor is wearing blue, you want to make sure everybody else isn't wearing blue, or that people are going to be standing next to each other wearing that same color. And so when that happens, sometimes we would have to switch it right before camera, like, hey, let's put a sweater on them and it'll knock that color down, or we'll just change it a little bit. So sometimes there's awkward things that you do in costumes that maybe don't look right, just because we have to make a pivot because somebody else made a different choice. I hope that helps. That makes sense to you guys.
Most important question for you, Valerie. What was your favorite drunk performance from the episode tonight? Wait, hold on.
John Cabrera.
Multiple choice. Ready? You've got the nerdy guy trying his absolute best to be articulate, but not doing a completely good job at it. You've got the cute Lane, sort of, you know, giddy drunk. You've got Lorelai, who's almost like doing a sort of numb drunk, right? Where she's just like standing there and just stuff's falling out of her mouth. Which is your favorite? Is there another one that we can remember?
I think you drunk up there. That was it. Brian drunk. I mean, Lauren, when you're when you're shooting a scene like that and Lauren's in that mode, the hard part about those kind of scenes are the actors, when they are super engrossed in what they're doing, become completely unavailable to whatever you need to do. Like, you cannot go up there, fiddle with something. You just have to like let them be. It doesn't matter if there's a continuity mistake. You have to just sort of like sometimes let it go. And those aren't my favorite scenes. My favorite scenes are when I can do my job, get in there, get it done, and be able to like give them their privacy, but also know that they're going to look good on camera, because it just stresses me out when there's something that happens. That's
well, I'll say it right now. I'll say it right now, Valerie. I apologize for having done that to you in the scene.
You never ever did that to me. No, you never ever did that to me.
I was deep in it tonight. Like,
but you were perfect. You took care of yourself. You didn't have any problems with your clothes.
Oh, I was okay. Okay, good. Yeah, because I was deep in it. I was deep in it.
But it's never the people that would be aware.
No, I know that
to apologize would be the people that would have the problem.
Yeah, the stars of the show. I mean, like, they've got a lot.
They do. Yeah,
they're working hard, and they're there every day. I mean, you just can't compare. Like, you know, I come in for like a week of work, and you know, and get to like be an actor for a little while. I mean, that like Lauren and Alexis and Scott, they were pulling these kinds, and season 6 was just a bear of a season in terms of just like the amount of work everyone was doing. And so, I mean, you know, just like they're all like just absolutely exhausted. So yeah, I mean, that was probably a part, her performance probably had bits of that in it. And, you know, I can't blame her for just being kind of like, you know, it's like, it's like 1:30 a.m. I'm trying to deliver some emotional stuff here right now. I just need to be alone.
And I'm sure they gave you like 2 seconds to shoot it because they were in such a hurry. Like, they didn't give you 20 takes. You know, normally they would give people 20 takes.
Yeah. Because
that's what we were known for, with these 36 takes in one film moment.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that night was allowed to happen, because there were so many people and so many shots and everybody was freezing. I just remember coming up to the background and giving them, like, we would take the Arrowhead water bottles or whatever, the little plastic water bottles that were thrown in the trash, and I'd dig them out of the trash, and I'd put a little bit of cold water in it, and then I'd pour coffee or hot water from Crafty in it, and then I would just like hand them to background and be like, hide it, hide it, hide it. Like, don't let it be seen on camera, and you can sit on the table with it, like, you know, this on. And some of the background would just throw coats on and be like, oh my God, please take them off before we roll. Cause we're, you know, it's supposed to be a nice summer night or whatever time period it is. It was always funny because you're in Connecticut and during the daytime, everybody had to wear all these heavy coats. And then by the evening, they were like, whatever, we don't need to have to wear this heavy coat anymore. We'd always shoot the winter scenes in the middle of summer and the summer scenes in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that was
Which was
crazy.
always hard.
Well, as always, you were amazing. Thank you for giving
You're
us all of this
welcome.
like wonderful insight. We don't have a lot of time to talk about the actual episode itself. Are folks willing to
let you
stick
guys go.
around? Are
Bye,
folks willing to
guys.
stick around for a little
Valerie.
bit? Bye, Valerie.
Bye,
Thank
You're welcome.
Night now. Night now. Thanks for coming.
you. Are folks willing to stick around for another 15 minutes so we can dive in? You know, I feel like this episode. I feel like this episode was a lot of just like fun, geeky stuff, like the stuff that like really, you know, I think deserves some really good analysis and discussion. Personally, I think is all of the stuff here at the end with Lorelai. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
No,
I mean,
it's the
we
big
can
one.
certainly talk about all kinds of fun stuff in regards to the wedding and Lane and, you know, and I can share other memories that I have, but like, I just feel like just from a plot perspective, that's where my heart is going is sort of just to discuss what happened there at the end.
I just want to mention the continuity of Lane's family. Like Mrs. Kim was clearly terrorized by her mother.
Yes.
And she just passes that on down.
I just in general, I just love that theme. Like they didn't let go of that theme anywhere. And even here, like six seasons in, they want to remind you there is a Trix even in this family, you know, like, and that like generations of women is deeply what this show is about. And I just like, that's also partly why I got super geeked out when they had that shot of her at the bottom of the stairs. I was like, oh, no way, you are not doing that. This is amazing.
I think
This was my favorite Miss Kim episode. I love this episode.
Yeah, and Emily, I mean,
this was for so many reasons, but oh my God.
Emily is just on fire in this episode. She's so amazing, you know, and also had to do all that Korean dialogue as well. Like, I do not believe that she speaks Korean. I don't believe so. I mean, maybe she does, but I just really awesome. And also Keiko had to speak some Korean in there. I mean, not that like, that's not, I mean, I had to speak Korean in an episode, so it's not like that's not doable, but it's just impressive to see like all of these actors just like basically just at the like they're just like performing at their absolute like top performance level. It's awesome. And then all of that stuff, the all of the physical directing in the show. I mean, that whole running, racing from the church and all that. I mean, just all of that stuff is just so delightful. Every bit of it, so delightful. But man, oh man, can we do it? Can we shift over there?
Yeah. Did you notice it was
saying the
written?
wedding is just not gonna happen? She's not getting married.
Ugh.
Heartbreaking.
But she's not. Like, I mean, let's just.
You think she's never getting married, John?
Just let's accept it. I mean, it's not happening. It's not going to happen.
What do you
I mean,
think
maybe.
Luke is going to say about us saying that?
What do you think Luke is going to think about us saying that? Or you mean Scott Patterson?
No, like Luke as a character, do you really think he's backing out of the wedding? Like,
I think that his heart is not in it right now because his heart is somewhere else. You know, that doesn't mean that he doesn't love Lorelai, but it just means that the excitement of making that love sort of an official thing is just not in his sphere of consciousness right now. Which is a bummer because it's like a bummer for Lorelai because that's very, very important to her.
Well, I was just gonna say she spent so many years being the one who ran, and everyone, when things started going wrong, started accusing her of being who was messing it up. And she's so in it. She's finally reached that point in her life, not just because it's Luke, but in general, that she can be that committed to someone, and now they're the one running scared.
Yeah.
Oh, just as you were saying, you know, she's so in it, that brought me flashbacks of Luke saying, you know, I am in,
I'm all
I
in.
am all
I'm
in.
all in.
And
He's
is
not.
he?
He's not. That's sort of that's the point that I'm trying to make. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't love her. It just means he's not all in right now, because he's in something else right now, which is I'm in trying to understand what my role is in my daughter's life, and like and trying to figure that out. So like, how can he be all in? He can't. Like, that's not possible if
Which
you're
is
in
totally
something
understandable,
else.
but also heartbreaking.
But also this, but you had said, John, you had said, like, you know, the whole thing with Rory and Lorelai, like, you weren't sure if, like, did you say this, that you weren't sure that, like, she was all in because, you know, with everything happening with Rory, she was like, we can't get, she said, we can't get married. We can't set a date until things are right with Rory. So like, it's like they switched places.
Oh, right. Yes.
Like,
That's right.
Wow.
That is totally true. I had forgot. You know, what's so weird is that, like,
I didn't forget about it, but I never noticed that.
This season has been, I'm just going to say it. It's my favorite season. I'm just going to say it right now. Like, it really would have to absolutely bomb in these next 3 episodes for me to not think that it's my favorite season. Because if I think back, this season has had the most, like, variety of, like, what you're describing seems like a different season, but it was in this same season, was all of that stuff with Rory and Lorelai, and all of that, like, you know, him sort of, you know, like wanting her to be ready and her not really totally being ready. And then now it's flipped. And like, of course, I know, and I get why the character of April feels forced to some people, and how it would be unsavory because of because of what it does to that particular plot line. But I just really like it. I like it. I think that it works. I mean, it's a story, so I mean, things can happen in a story that are larger than life. That's kind of the idea behind a story, right? Otherwise, we just watch life. But I like that. I love that it's now completely flip-flopped.
And I love that Lorelai drunkenly says, "No, it's not in the cards." Like, that's my favorite line, because you know, literally, it's not in the cards. Like, you know, they were together, everything was great. But you know, they had some issues early on, and then they get back together, and then it's like her and Rory. It's like, okay, the universe conspired against them, you know, and then Rory's back. We can get married. We can do it. We could do the thing. And then like the universe conspired against them to like drop April, you know, in his lap. So it's like, nah, it's not in the cards. Like, it's just not gonna, like, let's just give this up, you know?
Completely.
The way Luke handled April, like, no make. I don't like that look at all. He shouldn't. I don't know.
So are you saying that you don't like that storyline, or that this hurts you?
It's not that it breaks my heart the way that he handled it. Like, okay, no, you're not part of this part of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
He totally shot her. He wants to help him. He wants to be part of it. Let's help you get through with this. I know this has been hard for you, like knowing that you have a kid, but let her be part of it. Let her be part of it. Let her help you, but he totally shut her out, and I hate that.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to like that bigger discussion that we've had, which is like, you know, how characteristic is this of Luke? And I still hold firm to my belief that, like, it's not a Luke that we've seen a lot of in this series. I do think we've seen bits of it come out every once in a while, but it does feel like a Luke that can happen under specific circumstances. And if any
Yes.
circumstances were going to do it, it would be kid coming out of the woodworks.
When Jess came to live with him, he she offered to help. I'm here to help you, and he didn't want to either.
But
Yeah,
like
and
you
he was
said-
always there to help her with Rory for everything. So why can't he
Exactly.
let her help him with his kid?
Yeah.
Hey guys,
But you
I've
know,
been-
but somebody made a really good point recently. I can't remember who, but I know who, Hunter did. About how, you know, there might be actually a part of Lorelai that is scared to even try to help, because the last time she got anywhere involved in his, you know, family issues and certainly with a kid, like, you know, they weren't talking for like, you know, weren't talking for, I don't know what, a month or so, like however long 2 episodes
She
in
missed
Gilmore Girls
Danish
time
Day.
is.
She missed Danish
Yeah,
Day.
exactly.
Danish Day.
So that totally makes sense to me, that she would, that there would be a big part of this is Lorelai not wanting to, and not feeling that she's like, not feeling confident enough to even say to Luke, like, hey man, this is not cool. Like, I'm not down with this, because maybe there is a part of her that's thinking like, you know, maybe he will be upset with me that I'm doing that again, that I'm trying to butt into his family's affairs.
hey guys, I've been
And
kind of
here's
Do you have something you want to add?
well, kind of. I've just been like unpacking, and I actually met my roommate today, and so I've been talking to her. So I just wanted to know, where are we at, so I don't like mention something that y'all already talked about.
We're actually talking about the moment at the very end when Lorelai drunkenly basically just like makes a bit of an embarrassment out of herself, like,
So like when she was like, I'm not
yeah,
getting married,
essentially saying that I'm not getting married, this is going to be awful, and like, and kind of this is the part that's the kind of the bummer of it all, is that she's sort of kind of raining a bit on Lane's awesome day. You know, that's another part of it that's a little bit sad and unfortunate.
sucks.
Like, I can give her a pass because she's just absolutely wasted. And that is definitely one of my most prized drunk performances in my collection, for sure.
Can I make a comment on that then?
Yeah, of course.
So like, I think like the statement, at least in my opinion, is always true. The whole like drunk thoughts or sober feelings type thing. And I feel like we've seen kind of, especially since April's been more of a prominent, not character because she's not a regular, but kind of more prominent in Luke's life now. I think we've kind of seen her kind of take that derailment in that whole thing, where it's like she kind of feels like, okay, like she's more of a fixture in his life more than just like a pass by, whatever you want to call it. Because I feel like maybe Lorelai thought like, okay, like April's his kid, she'll just like he'll occasionally see her or something like that. Maybe she didn't think it was going to be kind of a regular type thing. So I think that's why she's probably kind of taken that like the derailment, because she's kind of seen like, oh, I'm not the only person in his life anymore. And I thought I always was, because to be quite honest, like up until now, Lorelai and Rory have kind of been his central focus. Obviously Jess was too for a while, but I don't know, like I feel like we've kind of seen this coming, because she's kind of like been showing signs of like, oh, like I'm not getting married, and the Valentine's Day weekend kind of put that into perspective. I don't know, is that making any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Does anybody else feel like Luke now has something that he has never had in the series before? Not necessarily a kid, obviously, that he hasn't really had yet, but like that he's had a type of purpose that he hasn't had before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
d-
here's,
d- who said yes? Oh,
Emma.
Julie. Oh,
Julie.
Emma.
Yeah, no, I feel like, yeah, like April brings something completely different to him and like gives him a whole new purpose and a whole new reason for trying to be better and trying to be there for her, and just trying to be better than he was before, especially because he hasn't been in her life for the first 12 years of her life. So he's really trying to make up for the time he's lost. And so I definitely think like April's given him a new purpose, or if like a purpose at all, because like I think April just is such a breath of fresh air, especially for him too, like just to bring out a different side of him. Like we see kind of a softer side of him, which is really nice to see. And you really kind of get to see him kind of change a little bit, which is nice. But I think she definitely gives him a different purpose. I agree.
I think the
does
timing.
any
Sorry.
does
Sorry,
anybody-
before we go too far down this Luke thing, I tried to jump in after Diana spoke, but
yeah,
I wasn't fast enough. So can I just really wanted to like bounce something off from what I just heard Diana say, because just the word she said it like just brought whole new like revelations to me. So you know, Diana was talking about like
kernel size revelation.
yeah. That like, you know, it's not in the cards, like the universe is saying like it's not happening. And then I just completely went back to the episode Written in the Stars, where they have their first date and he gets out the horoscope, right? And it was this big revelation, like the universe has been saying they're going to happen. And like, so even like from the very beginning of the show, you think back to the episode where Richard goes to the hospital the first time and like Emily throws out her comments that she can see that there's something between them.
She says,
So-
"You're idiots, the both of you." It's one of my
Exactly,
favorite-
yeah.
So
So, like-
that's one of my favorite Emily lines. Not to
It's
cut
like
you off, but
the whole, no, it's okay. It's like the whole series has been like building this. It's written in the stars. It's written in the universe, right? And now we're kind of going the opposite way, where the universe keeps telling us like it's not.
Well,
It's not going to happen. It's not written in the stars.
Nikki, this brings up a great point. What happened to the original plot of the story? And yeah.
Well, here's what I would say to that and to Nikki's is that if we look at this whole series as just one long narrative, it makes sense to me that this plot line that is about whether or not these two are written in the stars, so to speak, would be tested here at this particular point in the narrative, right? If you look at like a 7 or 8 season long series, which I believe that that's what they imagined this was going to be, that like we're now at the end of season 6, which if you like were to graph that, right? Like if you were to like actually, you know, graph the narrative getting steeper and steeper, we're actually around the point typically in narratives where these types of big themes are actually tested. They're actually like where characters do hit their rock bottom, where we as the audience do question whether everything we thought about characters or about what was happening are true. You know, and that's so that we can then, of course, have that sadness and disappointment be subverted as the story comes to a close, which would be the next season or next 2 seasons if they thought that they had 8 seasons. So I actually don't think that it's a weird thing. That I think that actually makes a lot of sense. That's what we would be tracking. And here we're hitting what we could probably consider to be, at least from that particular narrative through line, an all is lost moment, right? Like all is lost. There's no coming back from this. It turns out we were totally wrong. however will our hero come out of this. And then they do in the next act. In the next act,
And I don't think that it's weird that this is happening. I just think it's interesting that for so long this relationship has been building, right? And we've been told it's written in the stars, and now
and I think that was deliberate. Like I'm absolutely sure that was all planned, and I hadn't even realized it until you just said that now. But there's no question about it that that's part of what they're doing here.
I have a
question.
And one thing for sure is that Emily knew from the very, very beginning that they both had feelings for each other. And I mean, it's just a whole narrative. I mean, they have to go through all these trial and tribulations to realize that, will they or won't they? But
and if they got together in season 1, like
there would
still be a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Like there's a blooper from the Firelight Festival episode where Lauren says then the show's over. There'd be no show if they got together right away. But that blooper's hilarious.
I have a question for the room.
Hunter has something to say real quick. Just before you ask the question.
Hunter.
Hi, thank you, Coral. I kind of wanted to kind of merge something that Tasha said and what you said, John. Tasha, I did want to say, like you said, maybe Lorelai was thinking that April wasn't going to be like a ever-present like kind of fixture in Luke's life, and she's not used to not being kind of the center of attention. I think of it the other way, like she just wants to be a part of what is going on with him, the way that Luke has been a part of Rory's life, and she's hurt that she's not being included and getting to be involved in April's life the way that Luke has been important to Rory. But also too that John, you were saying before or a few times over this season that when Luke is overwhelmed by something, like this is kind of in character for him to pull back. And we've seen that throughout the series. We have been kind of fixed or I guess groomed to think that, these two are supposed to be together. But when something is overwhelming for Luke, he pulls away, just like with his last marriage with the lawyer chick, when that wasn't going well, he didn't move in all the way with her. Yeah, Nicole.
We didn't even give her a name. She no longer has a name.
Yeah, she's the lawyer.
She's just lawyer.
Yeah, the lawyer. Okay,
yeah.
Go with that.
He didn't move in with her when everything imploded with Jess. He went away for a few days and closed down the diner. So we have seen him, pull away and break down when things get too much for him. So it is in character for this to happen with him. And like you said, at the end of this season, this is where he is. So this whole time we've been, built up to say these two are supposed to be together. He's all in when actually that's not his personality. He always pulls away when it gets too much for him.
I want to challenge this idea.
Very much
that
like
all
Jess,
is lost.
actually.
Sorry, am I talking?
Sorry, continue.
I want to challenge this idea that all is lost for the main character, because I think it depends on the point of view. For Luke, when he said he was all in, part of his image for the future with Lorelai was sort of spoken in his buying of the Twickham house. He bought the Twickham house because of the future and for the kids. Kids have always been part of the future for Luke. So right now, he's actually getting part of his dream, and he wants to explore that a little bit. So I don't think he is actually feeling like all is lost. He's just trying to fulfill part of his dream.
But we're feeling like all is lost. When I mean all is lost, I just mean that there's an actual narrative convention in like typical, not all types of narratives, but in a lot of narratives that have this sort of, particular hero protagonist that we're following, where we, the audience, feel like all is lost. And I do think that this moment, if you're looking at it from the perspective of their relationship, and certainly if you just look at it from the perspective of Lorelai's character, who is our protagonist for sure, at least at this time, things don't seem like they could ever be fixed now. Like, at least sort of from the perspective of how she wants it. And that feels all is lost. Now, all is lost does not mean that all is lost. It really is just a narrative convention that is designed to make you, the audience, feel like at your absolute lowest, so that we can then turn it around with, by the way, potentially what you're talking about, Mary. Like we could then subvert that very soon and realize that like there is a place for Lorelai in Luke's life, and that she needs to overcome whatever thing is going on with her, and that actually this is really wonderful for Luke, and she should embrace that, But right now, at least I would just say from my perspective, it feels sad right now. Like, and that feels like when I say all is lost, I mean, I don't think, like, I can't imagine how it's going to get better. Like, I can't imagine how it's going to get better right now. I think it will, maybe, I hope. But I don't really know how.
I was going to say before, John, because you said it was a bit of a shame, that she's raining on Lane and Zach's parade a little bit. I don't think they saw it that way, because the very next line is them saying totally perfect wedding. So I think they thought it was a require.
Right. That they actually were like, the best weddings are the weddings that are just an absolute mess. Like
no, they're like
grungy and
yeah,
rock and
you
roll.
need. Yeah, you need to have at least one drunken speech,
That you know what, you're absolutely right. That is completely spot on.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Before I know you have to go soon. I just have a question for you. Can we just talk about Brian and Kim's makeout session for a minute? Because
yes.
oh yeah,
yes,
pretty amazing.
Here's the thing, though. I can't remember if we were actually kissing. I think we were, but I don't really remember it. I kind of remember that there was a scene like that, but I didn't remember what it was like. Like, I don't remember what it was like until I watched it. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, did I actually have an on-screen kiss? Which, by the way, that's a big thing for an actor, right? Whether an actor gets an on-screen kiss, because they come with tons of stress, right? Like, they come with does my breath smell? Do I need to make sure that I've brushed my teeth, that I've taken a mint, is this person going to think I'm creepy? They're really, really stressful for any actor. And obviously this was just a really simple one. So I had actually maybe I blocked it out. I didn't really even remember that it was a full on kiss, but now I'm watching it and I'm like, I had an actual on-screen kiss.
Yeah, you did.
That was funny.
Should have had Suzanne.
Boy, did you
That
ever.
would have been fun.
But I mean, it was kind of my head was away from the camera. So it's I don't know. Did you actually see our mouths?
It looked like you were kissing. Yeah, it definitely
because
looked
I mean,
very
it's possible we weren't. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure we were. I think that would probably have been weirder than if we were kissing. If we were just shaking our heads in front of each other. But not
yeah, that was weird. When you said that you weren't sure if you were kissing, I was like, wait, what? How would that even work? But yeah, I guess that's how it would work.
Yeah, like that probably didn't happen, because I think that probably both Suzanne and I would have been like, what are we doing right now? Let's just kiss. This is bizarre. But all of that stuff was so fun. That whole episode was so fun. And it's true. I have memories of hanging out and just, because we were there for so long. It was such a long day. And there were so many things that we shot during that day that it kind of, in a weird way, sort of felt like we were at a wedding. We were just there. I mean, none of that stuff was real, but there was craft services around. There were lots of people all over the place. All of us were there. Me, Todd, Sebastian, Sean, Keiko. So when we weren't shooting, we were probably all off camera, just joking around and having a good time. So
how does this
they do them well.
What's up?
How does this compare to Richard and Emily's vow renewal? Because that last time you said, they really created the vibe of a wedding.
I would say that it still beats this one, because this one didn't really feel like a wedding that I've ever been to, and certainly didn't feel like my wedding. I would say that like that Richard and Emily's vow renewal still feels like the most realistic wedding that I've ever seen.
What about TJ's and Lucas?
Oh God, like, not even remotely. Like that seemed like just fantasy. Literally, quite literally, it felt like Ren Fair fantasy.
Wedding Bell Blues, top tier. That's top tier content.
Was that the name of this episode? Wedding Bell Blues?
No. It was I Get a Sidekick Out of You.
I get a side.
Mhm.
I get a
But the
sidekick
one
out
that
of
you were
it.
talking
Wedding
about, that
Bell
top, this one.
was Emily and Richard's vow renewal.
That is good. It's so good. I mean, that episode's so good. Like,
So
I
great.
can't wait, Mary, for us to sit down and chat about all of these, because it is going to be fun to revisit. Like, whenever somebody like brings up an episode and I have to like sort of go into my memory banks and try and remember it, if it's an episode like that, it's super fun because like, oh yeah, I love that episode, and I can actually talk all about it. That's how well that memory burned, that episode burned into my memory, and so I know it's like a high episode in my books for the entire series. But I'm excited to go back to season 1 and see how much of that is like still burned in my memory.
I'm blowing the balloon right now, which is why I'm not talking, but I'm so excited.
It would have been so awesome if you had started talking and you had been blowing up a balloon, but that there was helium, and then you sucked some helium in and you had one of those like helium voices when you came back.
Are you gonna be recording the fireside chats? Because I'm gonna miss Tuesdays, and I'm really mad about it because they just seem like so much fun. So I was wondering if you're recording.
That would be up to the guest.
I would love it. I would love it. I think I think it will be really fun content for folks who can be here live to experience live. So please certainly come. But for those who can't make it, and for folks in the future who will find this and be like, wow, I would love to know what this all was like in the early days. I think that going through these seasons is going to be really cool. I'm going to actually head out. Let me make some folks moderators, but I did want to share that sort of some details that I mentioned earlier. So we're going to start thinking about what our next shows with an S are going to be. Well, first of all, we still got another season of Gilmore Girls, and then I'm going to be going on a 2-week vacation in Germany. So that will be a 2-week hiatus, which I'll still be around. I just won't be doing episodes, and I imagine that we'll keep things going in other ways during those 2 weeks. And then when I get back, we're going to be doing 2 weeks of the revival, which means we're going to be doing them on the weekends. We're going to do one on Saturday, Sunday, and then the following Saturday and Sunday, which means that the week leading up to that is also going to be filled. And we're going to start finding our next shows, and we will roll them out, I think, sort of layered. So we'll start one, and then we'll start another one layered. And they won't be like Gilmore Girls every night. We will have now certain days of the week that will be dedicated to certain shows. And this is something that I think I'd like to do for season 7. But, and I'm still working out the details of it, but it's definitely something that I want to do for the shows themselves. I want to host them with some of you. I want co-hosts for these shows.
Nice.
And I want it to be based on the passion you have for the show. I want it I don't want it to, it's not going to be just one person per show. I'll have multiple co-hosts that will join me throughout the series. I want to start doing that during season 7, meaning that I will co-host with members of the community through season 7. And I'm trying to figure out like exactly how I'm going to do that. We've got a lot of folks, and I imagine there are a lot of folks who would like to do it. It does mean we'll use the co-host mechanic, which means that you will share in my host, or it won't be my host commissions, it will be our host commissions for those nights. And I just want to explore this idea of the community being a part of these, like being hosts as well as attendees to these shows, especially the shows that that are going to be coming after this, because I have this feeling that that many of you have shows that you love, that you want others to love the way that you do. We all have this one thing in common. And I feel like if we're going to explore the content that some of the friends we've made here on Remarcus love, I do think that it would be cool for those folks who love that content to sort of be leaders of that. How does that sound?
Awesome. Very cool.
I like
the
Sounds
yeah,
good.
cool. And I'll talk about like the specifics of how we'll do that. And like I said, there won't be like a co-host for Veronica Mars. There would be like multiple, and like, you know, and we would do it. We would figure out like what the schedule was. I was thinking that like every episode would begin with me and the co-host, just the two of us on stage, just chit-chatting for maybe 5 minutes during the pre-show before we open up the couch, something like that. Which I just think could be really cool and different. And it's just an idea that I had recently, and I just really love it, and I hope that you guys are into it too. So
if we bring this up in the town hall meeting, will somebody take notes? Because it starts the second that I have to be at work.
yeah,
then.
we're gonna have meeting minutes from this for this one. That was a huge miss on my part last time, but this time we will have minutes. So you'll have the stuff.
Sorry, did you schedule a time?
I did. It's in the Remarcus app. And that's also something that I should mention as well. If you're not on Discord, I really can't stress enough how important that platform is going to be going forward. There are aspects of the Remarcus app that just simply at this stage cannot compete with a platform like Discord. And so because of that, I'm going to need to use Discord as a sort of extension of the Remarcus app for a lot of things, everything from updates on app development to bugs to all of this. Right now, I get messages everywhere, and I need to sort of start to focus a lot of that and have everybody who is really an active participant in the community and specifically active on the app to help me out in that regard and try and keep all of those messages focused there. It's just there's a reason why pretty much every single software product that exists and every single game that exists has a Discord server. It's because they work hand in hand with those types of things. They help carry some of that. So I guess that's my way of saying like a lot of that information I share on Discord, and I already shared that meeting is in the calendar, but it's there. It's going to be on Sunday at 2 p.m. This Sunday 2 p.m. There was also a poll about it in the Remarcus app, and
Yeah, I
Sunday.
did that. I
Yeah,
have
Sunday
the
at 2
app
p.m.
and I did that. I just didn't see her announcement, I guess.
And so there'll be minutes, but it won't be recorded.
There will be minutes. I don't know if I'll record it. I don't know if I'll record it. I might. I'm not totally sure, but there will certainly be minutes
Great.
to that. And we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about developments, and we'll go back to our last discussion regarding community guidelines, which I know folks would like to continue that discussion. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of this stuff, like in programming and all of that. And it will be cool. It will be cool. And, it'll be 2 p.m. You can certainly come with like a margarita or a beer or something and treat it a little bit more like a party. I will, is basically what I'm saying.
Hey, John.
All right. Yes.
one thing I wanted to know, after we're done watching Gilmore Girls, do you think that sometime in the future of your lifespan, would you be able to watch the whole series one more time by yourself, or maybe with family? Just like a nice binge. Like,
yeah, are you saying, will you do that, please, for me? Or are you saying,
yeah, will you do that, please, for me? Like, that would actually be awesome. I mean, I would like to give kernels to you, but I wouldn't know when you would have the time or effort and motivation to do that.
You should watch it with Josie when she's grown up.
Yeah, the idea of doing a rewatch of the show is definitely, I've talked about it. It's definitely something that I want to do.
But by yourself, not with us. By yourself.
Maybe.
You've heard us.
What did you say?
I said you've heard us. You've heard our voices, but this time, you and the screen, friend.
But also remember, like us now and us in like a year from now is going to be different. There's going to be other people here, new people here. So there's that. I could see myself watching it by myself. I don't really like to watch content by myself, to be honest. Like I like to watch it with people. Yeah, I don't really watch things by myself. like unless it's for work, I don't watch things alone. I always like to watch either with Babsy or with friends. Pretty much every big show that I've ever watched, Lost, Game of Thrones, now Gilmore Girls, like any big invested thing, I always did it in watch parties. I always did it with people. It's just the way I roll. It's how I like to enjoy content. I mean, could I do it? Sure. Would I do it as a challenge? I don't know. That's kind of a bit of a weird challenge.
If you do it as a challenge 10 years later, maybe there'll be some real life money in it for your friend. Like I'd be down to put some real hard cash on it.
I guess my question for you is why? Why is that important? Why would you want that?
Because when I watched it the second time, I saw things a lot clearer with the series. And I just want to know if that would happen with you too.
Well, I'm sure that I will. I mean, we've been talking through some of it. There's stuff I've missed here and there, but I think that that's also part of the fun of rewatching it and then finding new things again. Like there's no doubt in my mind the next time I watch this, I will hear things I didn't hear the first time. I'll see things that I didn't see the first time. And I like that. There's like a part of me that doesn't want to like see everything every single time that I watch it. Like I would like to find newness in the shows that I love. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Lost again. I was a huge fan of that, and I have a very strong memory of my time watching that show. But I really hope that there are things in that show that I do not remember, because I would like to revisit it and have some degree of a fresh perspective on it. And I do believe the best way to do that is to watch it with people, watch it with other people. I just think that's valuable.
Carl, we're gonna call you in 10 years. I'm gonna be like, where's the money? You said you were gonna give John
show me.
money.
I never specified an amount, and he never specified a time. So until he specified that time, we can draw up a contract. And I gotta know. But if I'm gonna put down like a good amount of money, he would have to take the biggest challenge of it all. Watch it by himself.
It's going to be a few. I think watching things by yourself is the best way to know what your thoughts are before you let other people into your head. So that's interesting that you like to watch with other people first. I'm the total opposite.
Same answer, yeah.
Yeah, because for me, storytelling is a campfire experience. It always has been for me. Like I've always felt it to be a community thing. Yeah, personally.
That's really cool.
Even when I read books, I try to find somebody who's reading it too, or try and find somebody who's read it.
Come to our book club.
And that's like while I'm reading it. That's not like I finished the book and now I want to talk about it. It's like I'll be in the middle of it and be like trying to find somebody who's reading it. I like to have shared experiences with people with my storytelling.
That's so nice and open-hearted and considerate. Yeah.
And makes you want to puke.
No, I just thought you know, with my background, it was like, we watching this to unwind, take a break. You know, just different strokes for different folks with that. But no, yeah, I have noticed that I watch it by myself, but I mostly got that from my parents. They watch things by themselves. So I was like, okay, I'll just do that. And works for me. That's how I was able to watch all 16 seasons of Grey's Anatomy in 20 days. So
there is one show that I can actually, just off the top of my head, I just thought of a show that I did watch by myself, but it was accidental. I've told you that I've watched all of Sex and the City, right?
No.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I watched all of Sex. Yeah, I watched all of Sex and the City once, and it was accidental. It was like in my old apartment, like 20 years ago, we, for whatever reason, we were super broke, but we decided we needed to have HBO. I guess maybe because, you know, we're actors and we need to like know what's like, you know, the cool stuff, right? And we had HBO. I had like my office set up downstairs, and at that time I was like designing websites and doing all of that like as my like day job, or like that was like the job that I had while I was like trying to become an actor. And my setup was downstairs, and so was the television. It was the other room, and my roommate like left the television on, left HBO on, and I was just too lazy to walk across the living room and turn it off. And so I just sat there working with this television just on, and it was a Sex and the City marathon. And so I'm working, and just I hear it out of the I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and I can hear it, and I just turned, and then like 8 hours later, I was just sitting there in the same position, just watching the television. And I realized like I had like watched like two seasons, and then of course the next day the marathon continued. And it was, I mean, even though I was watching it by myself, like, you know, like my roommate came home and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching Sex. This show is really good, man. Like, you should watch it." Like, and like I like trying to talk to him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, okay." I just walked away. I'm like, "No, it's really good. Like, you know, like Carrie Bradshaw, and she's like a writer." And he's like, but that wasn't by design. If I had to do it over again, I would definitely have watched it with people. But
we
just
can do it over again.
Sure.
I would be
I
totally
remember
into
I
that.
remember that
Totally.
I remember that to be a really, really, really fun show.
I love that show.
Favorite
really good.
girl? Which one was your favorite character?
I would probably say Miranda.
Oh,
Why? I mean, I think she's yeah, Miranda. Yeah, great show. Anyway,
this is very fascinating. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, yeah, no problem. All right, everyone, I'm back tomorrow at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Almost said 7 a.m. No, that's an early one for me. 8 a.m. tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have my coffee in me before I hit that start the room button. We are watching episodes 19, or no, we're watching episodes 20 and 21 tomorrow. And then on Sunday, season 6 is over. Season 6 is over, and I'll tell you what, I'm not looking forward to it because I'm just loving the season so much. just telling it like it is. All right, everybody.
Wait on Monday and Tuesday to ask you about your favorite seasons after you've like rethought of them.
Okay, fair enough. You, who knows? It's possible that I will switch my. You're right. That's possible. I might switch my opinion on it. All right. I will be back tomorrow morning. I hope that you will be too. Thanks, everybody.